And, you know, that would be very, yeah. So, consensus, jazz hands, hey. So, I was going to start by reading some bits and bobs from a thing that I did called the Manifesto. And the Manifesto was basically, I went around the country asking people to put forward their policies to make Britain a better place. So I said, you know, put forward what policies you want. You can have anything you like. It can be mundane, it can be brilliant, it can be nicked, it can be new, whatever you want. It can be an idea to make the world perfect. It can be an idea just to piss off your neighbour. It can be anything. And so people would put forward their ideas, and I would get them up on stage, we'd discuss them with the audience, and then we'd vote to create a manifesto. We'd get a policy each night that we would actually choose from the audience that would join our manifesto. And we've had some amazing policies that have been voted through. A couple of them, I'll tell you a couple that we had the other day that were voted through. One was, it was a rather lovely one. It was that anyone with a second home should be entered into a prize draw, and the winner would have their second home occupied, if unoccupied, by someone recently released from prison. Now, sounds good. That's quite a nice kind of policy idea. There was another one, this one came from Bristol, that David Cameron should be burnt in a wicker man to ensure a good harvest. So the ideas kind of like vary in style and substance. There was also a rather lovely one. There's a great one that the BNP and the EDL should be forced to trace their family ancestry and make it public. Because one of the lovely things about being British is the fact that we've really had multiculturalism since the Celts. You know, that's when it started, and I can guarantee you there was some fucking neon Cro-Magnon EDL supporter going, no, but we've had this multiculturalism forced upon us. You know that will be happening. So it'd be a nice thing if they wanted to play pure British, then they better find out what it is, and if they're not, because the lovely thing about being British, we've had people from all over the world come to these islands. We've had the Normans, which are French, we've had the Italians, which are Romans, we've had Anglos, we've had Saxons, we've had Danes, we've had Scandinavians, we've had all sorts. The first black people into this country came with Roman legions. We're a fantastic mongrel nation. So I think if the BNP and the EDL want to proclaim that they're pure British, whatever the fuck that is, they better make sure they are. Because a lot of these BNP, they come over here. Pardon?
He came from Africa. Kent's Cabin. He was out of Africa.
Thank you very much.
40,000 years ago.
That's lovely. Great. Okay, it's going to be a bit of a longer evening than I anticipated. But I was going to read you some of the lovely manifestos. We did also have, there's a lot of sort of like good justice sort of issues. There was one that got voted through, that anyone found guilty of a homophobic hate crime should serve their entire sentence in drag. Which is, you know, which is quite just. There's another one that all ATM machines should have a gamble button on them. You know, and I thought, well, good enough for the bankers, it should be good enough for us. There's a whole load of stuff that came out of these. Some of the policies that came through are very, very personal. Some of them, obviously, people have thought about them for a while. Some of them... Can I move? Do you want, come on in and just sit down, come on. Keep, there's a bit of room up here. Shuffle up towards the front. Out. Do you want to... They're very welcome to work with them. Cut, we're just going to...
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Calm down.
Yeah.
It's not first time.
Oops, sorry.
Stay here, it's easier.
Okay, we're ready.
I don't want
Take control of the feed.
Yeah, go for it, mate. We're frozen.
Right. These are some of the more policies that got put through. Some of them are very sweet. Some of them are very to save money in the environment. Instead of the Olympics being held in one country, people could run around in circles in their own country at the same time. Anyone with a 4x4 in a city must also volunteer for the nearest mountain rescue service. So there's all sorts of nice ones. There's someone who's thought about this quite a lot. This has been a personal one that someone's worked upon and they've thought about it, and it reads, mayonnaise should not be used as a moisturiser for sandwiches. It has no nutritional value and is the work of the devil whose real name is Hell Man. Everything in supermarkets should be stacked in alphabetical order. I quite like that idea because where's the Brillos? It's near the bread, so you know, you sort of follow logically. And I spoke to the bloke who put this forward after the show and said, that's a great idea, it's very funny. He goes, no, it's serious, I can't find it. You get all sorts of ideas that come in. There was a nice one that, there was a beautiful one from Hull. And it was very simple. We should be legally able to take fashion designers outside and bash them into the shape they think we're in. There was a lovely one from North London, which was, this is nice. That somebody wrote, there's too many laws, too many criminal laws. We should abolish them. We should replace it with 2 laws. Law number 1 will be being out of order. Law number 2, being bang out of order. And completely true. I said to the bloke who put this forward, I said, that's a great idea. What do you do for a living? He said, I'm a lawyer. So, lots and lots of ideas. There was one that came through from North London, which is one of my favourites, which is models should be chosen at random from the electoral register. And I love this idea because it rewrites our idea of what is beautiful and what is erotic, and it changes everything. It means advertisers can no longer go, we want a skinny woman with large tits, but they can't say that. They go, we need a model. And that model will be drawn at random from the register. And you would get whoever came up. You could have a bloke, it could be an old bloke, it could be a fat bloke, you could get anyone. And people who are going to get the advertising job, the modelling job, they will be told of their job in the same way as you get told for jury service. Right, so people like my dad would be opening letters at the breakfast table going, fuck, I'm doing Calvin Klein. There's lots and lots of lovely ideas here. There's a nice one that, there's one here that is, it should be legal for gay couples to get married, which is absolutely right. Why should gay people not have the mundanity and tedium? Some people object, this is what I wrote on this. Some people object to gay marriage on religious grounds, and they often cite the book of Leviticus in the Bible, which says, quote, if a man lies with a man as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. Leviticus 20:13. However, Leviticus also says, and God decrees it thus, menstruating women should be kept separate for 7 days. And on the 8th day, that woman should sacrifice 2 pigeons to make herself clean again. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 2. Leviticus 15:29. These pigeons should have their necks wrung by a priest, not the butcher, a priest. And that should be done at the altar. The feathers should be cast to the east side of the altar, not the north, not the west, not the south, but the east side of the altar. And that pigeon will then be burnt upon the altar itself. Leviticus 1:13 through 16. Despite these clear instructions from the Bible, there have been no recorded sightings of religious groups offering free fowl with tampons. I like this one. MPs should not be paid wages, but loans like students. Because these MPs often get highly paid good jobs after they graduate from Westminster. As a result, the Daily Mail should be forced to print on the front page of every edition, this is a fictionalised account of news, and any resemblance to the truth is purely coincidental. These are some of the nice, this is a nice one here, because some of the ones that get through, we've had some lovely ones. This is not, Windsor should be renamed Lower Slough, just not that. There was a lovely one that came through about banks and banking and about wages, because obviously a lot of stuff that comes through is about bankers and about what we should do to bankers. and quite often it's quite violent. And places that you least, like in Bath, which I always sort of like associated with sort of like, you know, Spa Town, sort of slightly twatty, sort of twee, sort of colonnade place. Suddenly their actual policy, first policy off the pile, hang a banker every day of the year. And what struck me about that wasn't the violence, but the order. Every day, not Saturday off, neither Sunday, 2 on bank holidays. And then underneath they put, and compulsory allotments for everyone. And you just think, fuck, this is the Daily Mail. This is killing and gardening, and that's exactly But there was a lot of stuff about what we should do with bankers, what we should do about money, and the best suggestions, I thought, one of my favourite ones was very simple, that there should be a maximum wage. In a democracy, that actually, democracy is what we decide, it's us. We decide the laws. It's not markets that decide the laws. It's not this kind of like a cult of monetarism and the neocon kind of agenda of economics. This is voodoo economics. This is a cult. We need to break this stuff up. If we decide we want to, then we can do. And actually it's up to us because leaders have abdicated responsibility and actually people on the bottom have always led. That's the way it works. That's the way it always works. There was a lovely policy that there should be a maximum wage, and I thought, great, because if we can decide what the minimum wage is, you know, which I'm now looking at as a reformist piece of legislation, a minimum wage. No, surely we want a maximum wage. We can decide what's the most anyone can have. And I actually, this is completely true, I spoke to a Marxist economist, and I recommend you, as a Marxist accountant rather, and I recommend you get him down to speak. His name's Prem Sikka, and he's absolutely remarkable. I remember meeting him for the first time and going, Marxist accountant? How does that add up? And he said, under capitalism, nothing adds up. I said, right, I said, this is a great idea, you know, the maximum wage. What level would you set as the most anyone could ever earn? Because poverty is the gap between the rich and the poor. That's where poverty takes place. The countries with the highest incidence of gaps between rich and poor are the cases where they do worse. Those in terms of social indices, whether it's homelessness, alcoholism, drug abuse, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's mental illness, those are the indices by which we can judge a failing society. So let's bring that gap down. So I said, what wage would you set as the most anyone could earn? And he said, I wouldn't set a level that is for fools. Yeah. And I said, I agree. What's your method? Before I tell you mine. And he said what I would do is I would have a formula. So the most that anyone could ever earn is, say, something like 10 times the national average wage. National average wage, about £25,000. 10 times of that, £250,000, £250,000. That's the most that anyone will be able to earn. Now I know some people might think, well, you know, if that's what you're going to cut our wages to, then don't finish the sentence. Fuck off. All those people who keep threatening to leave the country, fuck off. And say, if you introduce a tax of 0.001% on financial transactions, we'll have to leave. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Jim Davidson will meet you in Dubai. If you cannot live on £250,000 a year, you have no social worth to us. Fuck off. So I said, this is a great idea, I really like this. And he said, it's even better than that. This is my Marxist accountant. He said, it's even better because if you're at the top and you want to give yourself more money, you have to give everyone more money to raise the national average. Okay? Now that means I suddenly have visions of trade union delegations going in to negotiate with management, just going, we've had a meeting and we decided we'd like a pay cut. No. In these times, we've got a chance to put these ideas out and see how far we can get with them. We should, for a start, shut all tax havens. This normally, by the way, when it's voted through in your country,